If you speak loud enough, someone will hear you. But unless you say it clearly enough, no one will listen. About 18 years ago, I overheard a discussion between a couple seated at a table next to mine in a London restaurant. From the way they spoke and looked, they were both well off, good-mannered, and highly likely educated. They were having a quiet argument, one peppered with long, silent pauses. I couldn't hear everything they were saying, but at one point the male raised his voice a notch and asked, "If you don't tell me what's wrong, how can I know how to fix it?" That question stayed with me after all these years, and time again it proved its validity. We are not mind readers. No one is. Not even behavioral psychologists read minds. They suss out behaviors, actions, and patterns, never thoughts and ideas. We speak so much these days, with meaning and mostly meaningless. We interact on social networks, speak about anything and everything, yet we very seldom communicate. We rarely, in face-to-face conversations, let alone on social media, speak up and speak our minds. We are afraid to, we are embarrassed to, we are unsure of the reaction we would get. We fear of offending someone, we dread being accused of racism or discrimination, and so on. To communicate does not require a PhD in communication sciences or in public relations, nor does it require a master's degree in psychology or neuroscience. Communication, at its very core, requires one thing only, that is dialogue. And the trouble with dialogue is that both parties need to pay attention to what is being said, as well as at what is not being said. This implies effort, active listening, and commitment. We put so much out there in the ether, yet little of that is about our true self, about what we dream of, hope, fear, want, and so on. Our communication at corporate and public level is mostly a monologue. Many of us do not take the time to try to make ourselves understood, let alone trying to understand others. If that is the case in some instances, are we evolving as a society, as a place of work, or as a community? Or are we heading towards almost total compliance with the rules, good or bad, or a lack of genuine care and involvement? Speaking up one's mind, for better or for worse, is a great opportunity to ascertain any individual's stand on any issue, trying to understand their viewpoint and, depending on the situation, find a solution to a deadlock. But, as a peer of mine named Keith Lewis argued, is good the same as necessary? It is not, we could say. Good is subjective and necessary is objective. Good is interpreted through a personal moral lens, and necessary is often perceived as required to change course or to adjust the situation before it reaches a critical point. If you are in a leadership position, do you heed the noise, as another peer of mine pointed out, or do you follow rational thought process which may not appease the popular roar but will deliver the necessary result? Where and when does public pressure cease to pressure? It's more important to know your own mind and to listen first. Freedom of speech is a right, but using it well is a responsibility. Should we exercise our freedom of speech responsibly? How do we qualify being free to speak but being responsible when speaking? Does that require redaction or subtitling? If we speak about workplaces, especially those with many staff, what would you, as the CEO of the organization, ask of your internal communication team? To tell the employees that they are actively encouraged to speak up their minds, but to do so responsibly? What sort of workplace culture would that be, and how likely is it that any significant negative developments taking place at the coalface of the operations will ever be reported up the chain? However, If you work in a high-risk environment in times of crisis, or especially during the due diligence related to any merger or acquisition, buyout, investment, and so on, speaking up is no longer a nice to do, but a must do. In the workplace, matters become more complex. Today, lawsuits are commonplace, especially across the Atlantic, and every wrong glance, touch, word, or sigh may be misinterpreted. Jobs, especially now, come at a premium, and those who are and will continue to be in employment will likely be less willing to speak up on matters related to misconduct, ethics, and abuse. They may be, is it rightly so? I don't know, afraid that by speaking up their minds they will jeopardize their income and or the financial security of their family. No employer can ever claim that they are fair, inclusive, and just not if they punish honesty and an ethical approach to work inside and outside the organization. Many of us are spending a lot of time online now, much more than we used to do. The social media bubble can be a great place to be in if you surround yourself by decent, good people and if you have a strong network of online peers or friends. Words can hurt. Words can kill. Words can start wars. Words are extremely dangerous if used inappropriately, especially in a monologue structure, one where we spew hatred and verbalize abuse just because we can. I am sorry and I apologize appear to be in short supply online. They should not. You can still speak up your mind if you answer these questions to yourself. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it of value to other people? Far too much social media commentary should have never got past the is it necessary checkpoint. Fear is the most powerful human emotion, far more powerful than love could ever be. We do not take judgment lightly. Many of us cannot take criticism, be it constructive or not, lightly either. Many of us are afraid to be labeled or judged as not fitting in. Social belonging is very important to many, and for those working in a highly social environment, such as corporate communication, corporate affairs, public affairs, and so on, the truth needs to be packaged differently at times to make sure that it resonates and strikes the right chords. Yet, there is hardly ever any justification for not telling those we seek to protect and support that they have a problem, internal or external, of their own doing or externally caused. Rebecca Zeitlin, a fantastic communicator and a great friend of mine, argues, and I quote, "I'm quite happy to speak my mind. I have always found that doing so, with well-reasoned arguments, calmly, with appropriate respect for the other side, earns respect. Those who brand me as controversial or as a shouty woman aren't people I want to work with anyway." If the truth is presented as Rebecca indicated that she does regularly, respect is easily earned. The life of a corporate communicator, in brackets advisor if you wish, close brackets, is overly complex, and the stakeholder mix they must navigate and bring on board is enormously diverse. One can hardly expect to earn respect and credibility based on a whim, on an assumption, or on a thought. That's not how businesses work. If you work in a communication or public relations area and find yourself one day before a CEO, a chairperson, a managing director, and similar, and have a situation to present, a strategy to put forward, or advice to give, do not ever consider backing those up with, and here I'm putting in inverted commas, I think, in my opinion, perhaps we should close the inverted commas. It is inevitable that we will always offend or upset somebody during our communication efforts. Apologize and ask for advice on what and how to say the same thing to ensure that you do not offend anyone else in the future. We learn much more from our mistakes than we learn from our successes, and we continue to learn throughout our lives only if we advocate real communication, not just speaking at someone or shouting. The fear of saying the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time should not prevent anyone from speaking up. You can always start by saying, and here I'm quoting, "I'm not sure if what I'm about to say will offend you. If it does, I apologize. Please do understand that by saying it, by no means do I seek to offend, just to express my thoughts on the matter." Close quotation marks. The lesson for all of us is clear. Do not just speak. Communicate. My name is Alaminti, and I would like to thank you for being here today. Power and influence is a journey, and I would love to have you with me on it. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to this channel. I shall also insert some links in the description to some very useful material on this topic. Thank you.